All right, so today we're diving into these Diddy allegations. And I'll be honest, it's a lot. We're
hmm
talking legal documents, serious accusations, and we really want to get beyond just the music and the headlines here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's about the power dynamics at play, the music industry as a whole, and what happens when these things get, well, kind of messy.
Exactly. So we've been going through all these news articles, and it seems like every day there's something new, but we're here to try and break it all down for you.
Right, cut through the noise, really understand what exactly is being alleged and why this is so much bigger than just your typical celebrity gossip.
Okay, so before we really get into it, let's start with the basics for anyone who might not know. Who is Sean Diddy Combs? I mean, this is the guy who went from rapper to, like, this music mogul, right?
He's a legend, no doubt.
Launched so many careers, like, think Biggie, J-Lo. Built a massive empire, from Bad Boy Records to clothing lines, even his own vodka. The name Diddy is synonymous with success, at least in the music biz.
You can't deny his impact, and yet here we are talking about him for entirely different reasons.
And it seems like things really blew up with that lawsuit from Cassie Ventura. And, she wasn't just an ex-girlfriend, which is already complicated, but she was signed to his label too, right?
Exactly. And that power dynamic is crucial here. Ventura's lawsuit alleges years of abuse. We're talking really serious stuff like trafficking, rape, and battery. And this allegedly went on for a decade.
A decade. That's a really long time.
It is. And what makes this even more, I guess, concrete is the surveillance footage.
Oh, right, that hotel hallway footage. Yeah, seeing that was disturbing to say the least. It seems to show Combs attacking Ventura, which makes her story that much more real.
It adds a layer of, like, tangible evidence that you don't always see in these cases. It's not just a case of he said, she said.
Right, exactly. Now, Combs did release an apology video after that footage came out, right?
He did, admitted to his actions in that specific incident, but denied everything else.
And this case, just like a lot of others that have come out, was filed under the New York Adult Survivors Act. What can you tell us about that?
So this act was huge. It gave survivors of sexual assault a 1-year window to file civil lawsuits no matter how long ago the alleged abuse took place. So even if the statute of limitations had passed, they had this opportunity to, seek some sort of justice.
Wow, so even if something happened decades ago.
Exactly. And Ventura's case was just one of many. This act really opened the floodgates for other people to come forward, even against other big names like Bill Cosby, Harvey Weinstein, Axl Rose. You saw a lot of powerful figures suddenly facing accusations from their past.
And in Combs' case, it didn't stop with Ventura. It's like her lawsuit emboldened others to come forward. And that brings us to this whole wave of accusations and lawsuits. It's a lot to unpack. I mean, wow, it's a lot, right? And it's easy to get lost in all the legal stuff, but at the end of the day, these are really, really serious accusations.
Absolutely. These are
Okay.
real people with real lives, and they're going through this very public, very messy legal battle.
Right. And Jones's lawsuit, it has some especially disturbing stuff in it.
Mm.
He's alleging these sex trafficking parties and even throwing out some big names.
Yeah, his lawsuit does name some high-profile people. But it's really important to remember that none of those people are actually accused of any wrongdoing in this particular case.
Okay, that's an important distinction. So we've got Cardello Smith, we've got Jones, but they're not alone.
Right.
Several other people have come forward with allegations against Combs. What are some of the things that stand out to you? Are there any common threads in their stories?
Yeah, there are definitely some recurring themes. A lot of the accusations involve drugging, assault, even secret recordings, and this often allegedly happened at parties, gatherings, that kind of thing.
So a lot of it seems to revolve around this party atmosphere. And Combs, throughout all of this, he's denied all of it, right?
Yeah, his stance has been pretty consistent, complete denial. His lawyers claim these allegations are baseless, that it's all about money.
So they're basically saying these people are just trying to get rich off of Combs.
Exactly. They're calling it a smear campaign, claiming these people are opportunistic and just looking for a payday.
Wow. Okay, so it's a lot of back and forth, but then things get even more serious with the criminal charges, right?
Yeah, absolutely. This isn't just civil court anymore where it's about money. We're talking about potential jail time now.
These charges, they're not nothing. Sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution. I mean, these are big deals. So what is the prosecution's case here? What are they saying Combs actually did?
So they're accusing Combs of using his power, his influence, to coerce women into commercial sex acts. They're saying it was a pattern of control that often involved drugs, manipulation, and these things they're calling freak-off parties.
Freak-off parties. I got to ask, What are we talking about here?
Well, according to the prosecution, these parties were basically fueled by drugs and alcohol, and sexual exploitation was allegedly a big part of it.
Okay, so not exactly your average house party.
Definitely not. And what's interesting is there's actually a first-hand account from comedian Jeff Wittek.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Wittek claims he went to one of these parties at a mansion in Miami and described it as being totally wild, with people openly engaging in sexual activity everywhere.
So that seems to back up what the prosecution is alleging, although it's just one person's story. Have Combs' lawyers said anything about Wittek's claims or these freak-off parties?
They're sticking to their guns, denying everything. Their strategy seems to be to poke holes in the accuser's stories, highlight any inconsistencies, and just try to discredit them as much as possible.
So they're really painting this picture of a money grab, people trying to take advantage of Combs.
Exactly. They're trying to create this narrative of opportunism, trying to make the accusers seem less credible.
So on the one hand, you have multiple accusers, some pretty detailed allegations, even some potential evidence. And on the other, you have Combs and his team completely denying everything, saying it's all a lie.
Yeah, it's a really complicated situation. It's messy. And I think it's really important to remember that we're not talking about characters in a movie or a TV show, you know? These are real people with real lives that are being impacted by all of this.
Right. And it's easy to get caught up in the headlines, the drama of it all. But at the end of the day, we're talking about serious accusations with potentially life-changing consequences. Yeah, it really is a lot to take in, and it's easy to get lost in all the back and forth. But when we really break it down, what's the core of this? We're talking about potentially decades of serious allegations. And these aren't just about personal relationships, right? We're seeing this pattern of potential abuse within this professional context, this industry that's known for, well, let's be honest, some pretty intense power imbalances.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And we can't ignore that aspect, can we? The music industry is its own beast. This case and others like it really force us to look at those power structures, those dynamics that might allow this kind of behavior to not only happen, but potentially go unchecked.
It's a lot to think about, that's for sure. So where do we go from here? This is an ongoing legal battle.
Right. And we need to emphasize that nothing's actually been proven in court yet, right? Combs is innocent until proven guilty. We got to be careful not to jump to conclusions, make judgments before all the facts are out.
Of course, of course. But at the same time, these accusations are incredibly serious. We can't just sweep them under the rug as just another celebrity scandal.
Absolutely not. This isn't just gossip magazine fodder. This case raises bigger questions about power, accountability, about the systems that often protect people in positions of power, regardless of the industry.
And with so much information flying around, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. What are the key takeaways here? What do we do with all of this? This can't just be a case of, well, that was heavy, and then we just move on with our lives.
Right. I think for me, the biggest thing to remember is critical thinking. We're constantly bombarded with information, especially in today's world. And it's so easy to just accept whatever we see or read without really questioning it.
So don't just take things at face value.
Exactly. Do your own research, think critically, look at all sides of the story, be wary of forming concrete opinions before all the evidence is presented.
That's good advice in any situation, really, but especially with something like this.
Absolutely. And I think on a deeper level, this case forces us to confront some uncomfortable truths about ourselves, about how we view these situations. How much weight do we give to multiple accusations, even if there are no criminal convictions? How do we balance that presumption of innocence with believing people who come forward?
It's tough. Those are the kinds of questions we all have to ask ourselves. And there's not necessarily an easy answer.
No, not at all. These situations are rarely black and white. There's so much nuance.
Well, this has definitely been a lot to unpack, and there's clearly still a lot more to come. This isn't over, is it?
Definitely not. And I think that's an important takeaway, too. This story and the larger conversations it brings up, those aren't going away anytime soon. Stay informed. Keep learning. Engage with these issues as they evolve.
Couldn't agree more.
Mm.
And that's what we're here for, to give you the information, the different perspectives. You need to form your own opinions. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive. We'll definitely be revisiting this as the story unfolds.